Or what I want is for all you fat, out of shape, WWE fanboy, living in your mom's basement sweat hogs, to turn your headphones up, to turn your speakers up, and hear the sound of a voice that a real man sounds like. Hit the music.
Soldiers of Shoot. Soldiers of Shoot.
All right. Captain of Swag, Soldiers of Shoot. I'm the Captain of Swag AC. This is a soloist show as we talk about the AEW rally for Double or Nothing. And I got a few things to get into while we're doing this. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a good presentation. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like the idea of the slow burn, the trickle effect. I mean, let's face it. AEW doesn't have a weekly wrestling show. They don't have a outlet to build towards their show. So they use these rallies. They use the Being Elite show to build towards something. And I think it's brilliant. The Comrade Thompson, Alex Mraz, I forget his real. If I fuck that name up, I'm sorry. I tried so hard to remember. I really did. In Excalibur, I like the old school nature of the wrestling presentation. And I know. Tennis Racket Boy and Joe Cornette out there. They're still living in 1983. And can't deal with anything new. Cody talking about a kick-ass pro wrestling show, some entertainment. I think that the wrestling traditionalist, and I use that wordage, that verbiage, to try to be respectful. I mean, I could just say old school wrestling assholes, but I'll just call you traditionalists for now. Oh, Daddy. Oh, see, old habits. The Captain of Swag is fired up tonight, baby. Oh, I'm fired up. Do you ever get that feeling when you work your balls off all week long? You actually work for your money, and you bust your ass. Time away from the family. Time away from your friends. Can't do all these fun and exciting things you want to do because you have responsibilities. That's a story for another YouTube channel. And for another day. But I digress to the point where I'm fired up to be here. And fired up to talk about this show. I wanted to talk about it a lot sooner than I got to it, but I'm happy I'm able to get to it. And I you know what? I think it's a little bit timeless in the sense that these rallies and the Being an Elite shows are weeks, apart and months apart. I mean, a Kenny Omega signing, is that really that shocking? Not to me. Let's face it, if you listen to anything these men have said for years and years and years now, none of them are going to the WWE. And if you listen to the Jericho podcast that's been shared over and over I shared it. Stames shared it. The general out there. Shout out Stames. It's been shared in other areas. And listen to the things that he said in that. I thought it was telling. I thought it reinforced some of the stuff we believed coming out of the mouths of the Bucks, coming out of the mouths of Cody and Brandy and Hangman, and now Kenny Omega himself. And let's face it, you would heard it out of Marty Scurll if he wasn't under contract too. And I've heard these things from a indie star, a wrestling star who was under contract, and I'm not going to say the name because he's under contract and I don't want to get him in trouble. I've heard a lot of these same things from someone I know very, 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 very well in the business. I've been telling people this for a year, 2 years. We had dinner a year ago, talked about all these issues. None of these guys were signing with the WWE. You know, you internet fanboys out there, the WWE is the end-all, be-all people out there. You don't understand what is going on, the groundswell. The different form of thinking that, you know, if I wanted to give it a starting point, I almost have to give it a starting point with Matt Hardy. Where there was another way to make a living. Where it was okay to leave the machine or not sign with the machine or not re-sign with the machine and get out there and make your living another way. And now these common-like thinkers, these creative individuals, and listen, if you want to be the Joe Whites of the world and hate on the Young Bucks, have fun. But the fact of the matter is they're uber popular. And Joe, that doesn't mean they Uber. It means they're uber popular. I know. Dictionary. Got it. Yep. Google. You think Joe White rolled over his trailer when Sunkiss came out? I mean, oh boy. We'll get there. We might have to save the best for last. Oh boy. Rolling over in the trailer. Tweeting Jim Cornette. Do you believe this, Jim? God forbid they respect the business. It's 1983. Kayfabe's still alive. You know, before I move on with AWE, let's talk about that for a second. And I don't want to get you excited out there, but I was in the shower today, and this popped in my head. You know, back in the day, and I happened to be listening to a podcast that it kind of triggered my thinking. Back in the day, you know, when I was a kid, kayfabe was real. Like, you kind of knew wrestling was fake or scripted or predetermined, whatever you want to call it. But then you would, like, try to convince yourself that certain aspects of it were real. Come on, you all been there. You all sitting out there. Come on, man. You know you were watching Superstars or Main Event or even the Royal Rumble, whatever we were watching back in the day. This is dated pre-Raw, when the ring skirt was just blue. You go to a show and you actually saw the wrestling ring and you're like, damn, it looks so much smaller than TV. Right? Come on, you all been there. You know what I'm talking about. And I remember me and my brother watching the events that unfolded where Sergeant Slaughter and the Iranian Sheik burned Hogan's face. I think it was pre-Mania 7. Was that Mania 7? Yeah, it had to be 7, right? Yeah. Pre-Mania 7, they burned Hogan's face. You know, the Iraqi war was the major news story when they actually reported news in this country. You know, again, story for another day on another network. But we could throw those zingers in every now and again. Pro wrestling Pro Wrestling, Captain and Cool, Pro Wrestling. And if you like what you're hearing, we'd love for you to subscribe and hit that little bell on the Soldiers of Shoot YouTube channel, as it's a YouTube wrestling channel. And this is what we do. We comment on the world of pro wrestling. We have myself, Captain of Swag. We have Hollywood Edwards. We have General Stames. We have Steam Tom Stunner. You could follow us all on the YouTube, or you can follow us on the Twitter machine. And obviously all the content emanates from our YouTube channel here. And if you're just listening or viewing for the first time and you like what you hear, hit that subscribe, baby. Hit it. But anyway, watching that unfold with Hogan getting burned, and me and my brother were, there's no way that's fake. That was real. You know what I mean? Like, you try to, as a child, like, rationalize what you're seeing and make it realer than it actually is. But let's be honest, those days in pro wrestling are gone. It's way gone for so many reasons. We could do a whole YouTube show on why that's gone. But I don't really think we need to go there, because I think if you're still listening at this point, you have a pretty good idea as to why and to where we're at in pro wrestling. And given the state, I just don't see how you can not like what AEW's doing. Let's not even play procrastinators, or whatever the fuck word those are right now, and say, oh, Dolph Ziggler's coming, and CM Punk, and Dean Ambrose, or Johnny Moxley, or whatever he'll call himself when he eventually leaves WWE, if he's really leaving WWE, or whatever the hell's going on. We'll see what happens. But let's just deal with the here and now, the Omega, the Jericho, the Alpha, the Bucks, the Cody, the Hangman, SoCal Uncensored, Lucha Brothers, Penta El Om, or whatever the fuck he's calling himself now, as we know as Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix from Lucha Underground. And listen, you don't have to go far back to some of the people you're going to hear on the Soldiers of Shoot YouTube channel. You don't have to go too far back in history to us being very, very high on one Pentagon Jr. and Lucha Underground. And actually, our own Hollywood Edwards and one of our mentors, the Great King Firehawk, did a show that, I don't know, it was an hour and a half centered around, basically around Pentagon Jr. and around Ultima Lucha from season 1 and how that all played out. And boy, what a storyteller. I really think that AEW is trying to grab from all walks of this wrestling life that we have right now and trying to mold it into one entertaining pro wrestling company. And like I've been saying, kayfabe is gone. It's dead. It's never coming back. It's over. And you could hate on all the things guys are doing, and you could get yourself stuck into 1983 when, Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes wrestled at Starrcade. It's a different time. It's evolved. The world has evolved. Entertainment's evolved. It's funny. When the WWE fanboy out there wants to defend their vastly declining ratings and their vastly and their vastly is not a great word, but their, I don't know, rapidly declining product over the past half a decade or more. They use all these terms of people are watching TV differently. And the fans are just different. The soccer moms out there like Roman Reigns, but the hardcores don't. So they rationalize the failures of their beloved machine. But then when offered an alternative, when offered an answer to some of those failures, when offered a difference of way of doing things, we're going to take a giant steaming pile of shit on it and just crap all over everything AEW's done. And listen, I'm not just calling out White right now. He's in the group. He's in the group, trust me. I'm not just calling out him because there's a lot of Whites out there. There's a lot of grown men in their mom's basement that probably turn their volumes up to listen to me tonight. Hopefully. Because I'll educate you a little bit. Sometimes when you do this, you kind of feel like you're preaching to the choir. And you're preaching to the guy that's like, yeah, man, I get it, bro. You're saying, I got you, man. I know what you're saying. But at the same time, what we need you bros to do out there is to subscribe to this YouTube channel and share this shit so we can get this message out there to the people that need to hear it. I saw a post on Facebook the other day is, AEW, they don't even have a match lineup yet. It is fucking February. February. The show is in May. What do you want them to do? You want them to give you the whole match lineup? I would venture to say the card is probably 90% done. I'm sure they left some wiggle room due to pending departures when and if they do happen. I'm sure. That'd be the logical thing to do. But I'm sure they also know probably of what 90% of the show is going to be and who's going to be on it. Maybe things change, story changes, whatever. But I'm sure they have a pretty good idea what they're going to do now. Why would they give you all that information now? Let's think about this for a second. Let's give everybody all the information now and let them talk about the same thing for 4 months. Did you catch on yet? I'll say it again for you. Let's give them all the information now and let them comment on it for 4 months. Okay, this is a world where people get annoyed listening to the same stories over and over again about the Super Bowl for 2 weeks. And you want AEW to give you all the information right now. I need everything right stinking now so I can comment on it for 4 months. Use your noodle, people. Use your head. Use whatever brain you have. Click off Kylie Jenner's Instagram for 2 seconds and think for a minute. Roll over in your trailer. Do whatever you got to do. Think for a second. Rallies. Being the elite. Trickle effect. Slow burn. Get everybody to a frenzy. Bring out Kenny Omega 3 or 4 days before tickets go on sale. Jericho attack. Beautiful. You think they're done there? They got pay-per-views to sell. They have sponsors to get in there. They have a frenzy to build up. What the WWE and you WWE fanboys should be afraid of is the fact that Kenny Omega wasn't the biggest news they had for you. Think about that for a second. If you could put on the biggest matches in pro wrestling right now, The biggest. Line them up. Is Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho in your top 5? You're lying to yourself if you say it isn't. And I'll say this. With Reigns being out, seemingly past WrestleMania from what we could tell, to me, there is only one match the WWE could put up against that match as the main event at WrestleMania. And if that doesn't scare you as a WWE fanboy, and if you don't think it twickles McMahon's butthole just a little bit, Hunter isn't, combing the beard a little harder lately, I got a hard time believing that they aren't. This isn't Dixie Carter and TNA. These are real wrestling minds. Self-made men. Nobody got their merch into Hot Topic but them. Don't minimize it. When I've been on shows with guys, White first, the perfect example. I hate to keep bringing him up, but it's the perfect example. It's not that big a deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. Nobody's ever done it before. But let's get stuck in 1983. Let's get stuck in that. Oh, they disrespect the business because they do so many super kicks. I've watched Monday Night Raw. I've watched SmackDown and the Royal Rumble. There's a hell of a lot of fucking super kicks on those shows too. But it's all the Young Bucks' fault. They ruined the super kick forever. They disrespect the business. Listen, I don't love the Joey Ryan Dick stuff either. I'm on record saying it. I'm not going to change my tune. I don't love the Dick stuff. But I'll tell you this about Joey Ryan. If you watched any Lucha Underground and you don't think that guy is smart and talented and a self-promoter, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Those are the guys they want in that company. They're creating buzz. You might, listen, this idea that because you're out there chanting, the elite, the elite, the elite, the elite, you're some kind of sheep? Really? This coming from the people who go balls deep, who gargle on McMahon's balls. The machine's balls. I'm going to suck up everything he gives me. I might bitch about it a little bit, but I'm always there watching. I'm watching everything they do. I love the WWE. Oh, they pissed me off last week, but I'm going to be there next week. I'm addicted to the WWE. You're the sheep. You are the sheep. You're the definition of the sheep. Not the people who want something different. The people who've stepped out of there. The people who have been going to indie shows and watching the Young Bucks and watching Cody for the last 2 years. Going to Ring of Honor shows. This people that put Soul Cal Uncensored over. And Daniels and Kazarian are great. Scorpio Sky are great. They did that on their own, but there's also fans out there who were there to appreciate it. And now because they like AEW, they're a sheep. Oh, okay. The worst part is, the guys who say this stuff would listen to what I'm saying right now and think that I'm wrong. Or I'm stupid. I happen to think what AEW is doing is brilliant. And what Tony Khan is doing for those gentlemen is brilliant. He's trusting in the self-promoters. The guys who have built themselves up to a ridiculous level of making money. More money, by the way, than people that work for the machine. Now, granted, there's people that work for the machine that make more than they do. I'm not saying they're over everybody there, but they're over people that are there on their own. I know this to be fact. I know there's indie guys out there making more money than guys in NXT. Fact. It's a fact of the matter. The business changed. These guys evolved with it. These guys are doing big things. And now they have billions of dollars behind them. Are they getting billions thrown into their lap right now? No. Even if it's 100 million, 200 million, it's a lot of stinking money. Now, show the Khan family what you can do for them. They have that opportunity. Could they fall flat on their face? Maybe. I don't think they will. When have they fallen flat on their face? I mean, the only time you can say Cody's fallen on his face is when he was necktied by uncreative people with the machine. When have the Bucks fell on their face? When they're in TNA, when they're doing nonsense with them. When AJ Styles left New Japan, Kenny Omega was handed the torch. Was handed the relay. He didn't just stay at the same speed. He took that relay and put it to another level that you couldn't even imagine. To the point where, if you believe what's reported, that machine offered him an awful lot of stinking money for a reason. Way more than they're paying AJ Styles. And I like AJ Styles. I'm not knocking AJ Styles. Kenny Omega is on another level. He's on another level than Finn Balor, too. He probably makes more than them, too. If I had to guess. No way. They work for the WWE. They respect the business. Running around in there and I'm not even going to say. In Rainbow, WrestleMania weekend last year. They respect the business. You see what happened? They were going to do Dean and Nia Jax, but when everybody went crazy, they decided to pull that match there. Because you know what happened to Lucha Underground? They did too much of that intergender thing. What did they just tease it to see? Let's see. Listen, pal. What we're going to do is... I'm Hunter. I'm the game, and I got this letter that said pal, and it said we're gonna do Dean versus Nia, but if we get a backlash, we'll just say it was a misprint. Oh, God. They think you're stupid. Let's be honest. You know what? I take that back. They know you're stupid. They knew you were stupid when they had Becky tap at the Royal Rumble, and they could still get her over. Which, I was sitting in a room of wrestling fans that were like, are you fucking kidding me? They just killed her entire momentum. And because the fanboys, the sheep of the machine are that dumb, their plan worked to an extent. I don't know if it's going to work putting... See, when I said the biggest match that you could put on in pro wrestling right now, if it's not Jericho and Omega, is Becky and Ronda. It's Becky and Ronda solo, not with Charlotte Flair in it. That'd be like them doing Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and we're going to add Pentagon Jr. into the match. Just because, you know, he's AAA, he's Lucha. You know, he's big. He's big right now. Let's get Alberto Del Rio. Here's what we're doing. We're gonna get Alberto Del Rio, and we're gonna put him in with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. And I'm not saying this to disparage Charlotte Flair, but right now, in the climate you're in now, in the story you're telling now, you don't need Charlotte Flair in that match. It comes off as she's Ric Flair's daughter, and we're going to do the first ever main event, women's main event in the history of WrestleMania, so she has to be in it. Why? Why? You think Cody Rhodes is going to put himself in the main event of Double or Nothing? History already proves he wouldn't. I mean, he might have won the NWA title at All In. The fucking match was on the mid-card. I think it should have went last. But I think he didn't want to be the guy that put himself last. Becky, Ronda, Omega, Jericho. Tough. I'll say this. I'm going to give Becky Ronda the nod. 1, because it's WrestleMania. And 2, because it's Ronda Rousey. And Ronda Rousey is a bigger star than the other 3 put together. And that's just a fact of the matter. It's not even close. It's not even close. She's a global star. Global star. I think Kenny Omega is on his way to becoming a very big star now that he's going to be in a U.S.-based wrestling company. I firmly believe that. And he said something in his little speech there that would speak to that. He almost implied or directly said that they had gotten as far as they could go in Japan and being with a Japanese company. And I agree with that. I think that the turnout and the buzz for the New Japan shows in the U.S. raised a red flag for them. And having listened to the Jericho show, you know, Tony Khan has been involved with them a lot longer than we knew about. Because Jericho flew on Tony Khan's jet back and forth to All In and to his concert. So this has been brewing for a while. And given how successful these guys have been in the last few years, I don't think they went into this blindly. And I'm sure that the Khan family didn't go into this blindly either. So I think there needs to be a little more wait and see, credit, whatever you want to call it, at a minimum, before we're just putting the kibosh on AEW because they may or may not deal with Joey Ryan. But I mean, when you live in the world of, you know, people that are just enamored with the machine, who has basically trashed every somewhat decent to not even close to being decent storyline they've done in the last decade, is the end-all be-all of pro wrestling. It's just not true anymore. It's not true. I'm sorry. It's not. You're wrong. It's not. It wasn't true before AEW, and it's not going to be true after AEW. I know it's not true. I know people. They've told me. Well, maybe they're lying. Okay? We'll find out 5-10 years from now who was lying and who wasn't. Because it seems like the majority of the guys that's gravitated to this group here has been against signing with the machine for a reason. We can all speculate what that reason is. There's going to be a lot more to talk about down the road with AEW. There's going to be a lot more points we can make to trash the real sheep. The real sheep. The WWE fanboys. The Cornette groupies who are stuck in 1983. Who don't want to evolve at all with pro wrestling. Because, I mean, let's take a clip of some dog shit indie show in front of 12 people and make it about AEW. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And now, that one was Way, by the way, so we'll give you credit for that Way, because, I mean, that adds to your credibility. Anyway, I digress. Soldiers of Shoot. Once again, if you're listening for the first time, we thank you. If you've been listening since the beginning, it's just the beginning. We thank you for being part of the militia. Subscribe to the YouTube. Hit the bell. YouTube channel. Soldiers of Shoot. Captain of Swag. We out.
Soldiers of Shoot. Soldiers of Shoot.